I've been seeing a lot of videos on Instagram and TikTok of people talking about the cost of housing being out of control, the cost of rent being out of control. Now, I'm all about the bullshit and the laughs and giggles, but check it. You're talking to a very accomplished real estate broker. I'm a broker in 17 states, and I actually represented Fannie Mae during this infamous real estate crash.
Come on. Just to give you an idea, I'm a broker just in Georgia. She's a broker in 17 states. There are a bunch of states where all you have to do is get reciprocity and you just pay the money. In most cases, they'll give you the license. But there are states like Florida where you got to go and do a certain level of, education when it comes to their legal portion, because they deal with waterways and they deal with the sea. So you got to know a little bit more. But that's a big accomplishment. You can't downplay it. 17 states, that's a lot. And if she worked and represented Fannie Mae, I give you perspective. I worked for brokers who represented on teams that represented the asset management companies. And those asset management companies, hint, hint, their seller or their clients were Fannie Mae in some of these cases. Go on.
For the state of Georgia. The exact person that you can blame, if you want to blame somebody for the housing situation being messed up, I'll give you a hint. You probably got a bedazzled t-shirt with his face all over it. Now, it was Barack Obama. Now, am I a Republican? No. Am I a Trump supporter? No. But do I have information? Do I have firsthand accounts of what went on? Oh, yes, I do. So stay tuned. During the infamous housing crash, there was a thing called the Protecting Tenants Under Foreclosure Act. If you were in a property and you were renting it, you were able to stay in that property. If you were a homeowner and you lost a property, you were allowed to rent that property and be able to stay there, ironically, for about 2 or 3 years, so that you could get yourself together. So if you were one of the 8,000 homes, you probably had me come to the property and negotiate a rent with you and manage the property while you were there. Now,
that was, we're talking 09, 010, 09, 2010, 2011, probably more like 10, 08, around that time frame. The market's falling. Don't forget, the market is crashing. We're talking about the great real estate recession.
A lot of instances, these tenants and sometimes these homeowners, after a year or two, were able to gather their finances and they were able to want to purchase the property. That sounds logical. So after about a few hundred offers would always be denied, I'm on a conference call and I ask and I inquire, why are we not allowing these people to buy their homes that they've been living in? Like, why are we doing that? You want to know what I was told? By Fannie Mae. I was told that they have direct instructions to not do that. And so do you want to know what happened sometime later? They were pooling these properties in pool sales, and you had to have between $10 and $50 million in escrow in order to bid on a house that somebody was living in that was $60,000, even though that family were offering $60,000 cash to buy their home.
Ooh. Did you hear what she said? You had to put 10 million to 50 million to the side in escrow to be able to buy these pool of houses. And that's what we were doing. I mean, I remember distinctively a friend of mine calling me who was an agent. Lee, I just sold 60 houses in this portfolio. I was like, damn. Now, I wasn't at that time. I had stepped out of real estate. I'm working corporate America sales, doing some stuff. Market's bad. I got 3 kids. I am not going to be running around here trying to convince y'all you need to buy that. If you don't want to do it, that's your problem. But when he called me and said that, I said, damn, what the heck? And that he did it because he was able to sell that portfolio to a hedge fund that had the reserves in that amount and were able to buy it. We're talking about 2009, y'all. Come on.
But who would have that type of money, Summer? Who would have that type of money? Because it ain't nobody up here in the A. Oh, I'll tell you who had it because I represented them. China, South Africa, Australia, hedge funds from outside entities. I had no idea that America was for sale. And
Ooh.
the Obama administration totally is the one that put it on the market. And
Ooh. Okay. She's right. 100%. When I moved back to Georgia from living on the beach, God, I gotta go back to the beach, Lord. Living on the beach, the home that we rented was owned by a French company, and they had, I think it was called Spirit. They owned roughly, probably close to 1,000 homes stretching in the Sun Belt. Roughly about 1,000 properties. So we're paying our mortgage, and when we ask them, "Hey, you need to have some stuff right here. I think I smell a little bit of mold in the attic." Oh, oh, well, we don't see anything out here. Your rent is due, and it's going up by $50 or $100. And they had a management company managing it. The owners were not here. The people who owned the company never lived in the States. They just bought it throughout time. Now, this is 2015, 2014. I'm moving back. I'm moving here, and I'm looking, and we're renting this place. This took place when they bought it back in 2009, 2008, and rented it for years upon years. So when I start these programs and I talk about China buying up farmland, I'm not coming at China. I'm coming at the rule that allows people to come into the country and then buy. I don't care if you're if you're from Tibet, if you're from China. I don't care if you're from Singapore. I don't care if you're from South America. I don't care if you're from the Baltic region. I don't care where you're from. Austria. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, they're not Americans. They didn't sacrifice for their kids to go to school. They don't have anything that's happening right now. Now, granted, there's a balance to this. I'm gonna tell you, because I truly believe that the market recovered faster because these institutional buyers were able to come in and pull and bring the market back up. But would the market have recovered? Yes, I believe it would have. Because like she said, you had a bunch of people already that had the ability to buy these homes, but they couldn't buy them because because Fannie Mae had already decided that they were not going to give these properties to the people who had been paying rent to them over that time, and showed and displayed that they had the ability to secure a loan to actually purchase it, and were sending in the offers for it. They wanted to sell it to outside entities that weren't American. It was all about the dollar. This is greedy crony capitalism at its highest. And it happened right in front of us. And you can't sit back and say, all I can do is talk about it now, because you can't point a finger and say, oh, China's bad and Germany's this and all this and Canada's doing no. That time for all of that is completely done, because they wouldn't have been able to do it if the laws allowed and put in place by our government said they could do it. If the government protects the people, then guess what? The people can prosper. It goes back to who you put in the office, guys. Who are we putting there? Is going to affect your real estate money. I don't care what nobody says.
I said this is going to harm Americans. Like, why do you not want Americans to be able to buy this property at these low rates? And I also was told, because if you have a father who makes good money and his wife, the mother, makes good money, and they're not paying high prices for where they live, and they're saving money, and now they are opening businesses, and now the wife's not working, taking care of the family, it changes the dynamic and the course of how America is built, and we don't want that. So basically, you want people to stay in debt, and you want them to pay these exorbitant prices. This was all by design, y'all. By design.
That is all by design. See, when I tell you, and I'm talking about student loans, when I'm talking about MBAs being not worth what they were worth, when I'm talking about certifications in AI, out producing, out attracting companies that want to hire new people or younger people, outpacing the bachelor degree, I'm not crazy. I'm not off the chain. See, some of y'all don't know. That's the problem. A lot of people don't know. Okay. And when we have these conversations, y'all want to talk about getting to the bag, but you don't understand the bag has been here. Like the bag has always been in front of your face. There's people building real estate portfolios and doing very well. We only see the bad things. We only see what the news says. There's a bunch of people that's not affected by what's going on in the economy. Some people made right decisions and they just bought shit when it was cheap, even if they didn't like it. They knew that it was an asset where it was valuable is a piece of land. Buy it and sit on it. I had buddies buying houses that were $5K and sitting on it. And I didn't know until 5 years later, 6 years later, hey Lee, yeah, you're selling me this duplex. Great. I wanted to buy it because I own the house across the street. That's how the game is played, guys. That's how it's played. You don't need a guru to play it for you. You just need to find good teachers, and you don't need to pay them tens and thousands of dollars to be able to do that. You need community, and you just need strategy. And that's why I'm putting together the school community. That's why I say like, subscribe, follow. I'm going to take 20 years of knowledge and just dump it into there. Because it hurts me when I see people that don't understand terms, when they don't understand leverage in contracts, when they don't understand due diligence. All they want to do is get to the money and get to the bag. All you want to do is just get to the, I just want to get to the money. I just want to get to the bag. But when we talk terms, when we talk earnest money, when we talk how to strategically put together a deal that's creative so that now you don't have to be concerned with going out and jumping out alone, and you're not doing anything foul to the people who own it, and you're helping them out and being a value to them, and they're helping you out, being a value to you, and everybody's winning. You think it's crazy. You think it's crazy, man. I'm not going to get too far.
One that listened to me during that time, think back, stitch this video. If you was one of them people, I told everybody, there is something up. Will you please buy whatever property you can? I don't even care if you like the bitch. Buy it. I did the same thing. I bought a house for $100,000 and it's worth $415 today. It's not even the normal rate of inflation. So I was right that something was amiss. So ask yourself, did you know that about 30% of real estate is owned by outside entities, these hedge funds? The reason why you can't find a house is because they're coming in with 30, 40, 50,000 over asking price with cash, and you can't find a house? You never ask yourself, why did the housing market, why did a basic dusty ass trap house go from 100,000 to 300,000 overnight?
Ooh. And she talking about Pittsburgh in Atlanta. In Atlanta, we've got an area called Pittsburgh, near University Avenue. Man, I remember going by there. I know a company that did a loan to somebody who wanted to buy a house, and he bought it for like $40,000. The house now, and it was a piece of crap. I think Atlanta needed it to be torn down. I don't even think it was even torn down. Just the houses around it, dude, easy 300,000. Easy 3. You mean to tell me you can tear this thing down for 12, still put another 150, 175 in, and be able to sell it for 350? In the most, I won't say shittiest part, because I like the West End. I would say probably most craziest, dangerous, one of the most dangerous blocks on the West End. Yeah. In the West End. Yeah. You know those blocks? Everybody has one of those blocks in their city where you drive down the street and you can see the YNs and you know they strapped. One of them. No lie. I left, my wife stood up she had the gun. And while I'm walking around the back of the house, side of the house, to see what type of condition is in, she's standing there like this, the YN's right across the street. And they just sit back watching. At the end of the day, I knew my wife crack shot. So it don't matter how it went down. She'll use cover because she already been trained, and she'll bust the shots out. But dude, the most insane neighborhoods, the most bummiest properties. You wonder why the numbers ran up so fast and why they keep running. America selling itself out, or I would say America, but the people that's in power, not everybody, but you know the ones I'm talking about. You understand. I'm not even going to get into that because this is not here to bash and we're not trying to do it. I'm trying to show y'all that the money has been staring at us in front of our face this whole time. Is there. And until you put the right people in position that don't allow people just to come in and to buy your shit, then you won't have to deal with that in the hood. You won't have to deal with that in certain communities, in black communities. You won't have to deal with that out in the streets. And it's not even limited to black communities. They're in the suburbs also, in the same white communities that most people in the city, urban, they wouldn't even imagine. Yeah, they're there too. They're buying up houses in the suburbs equally. Well, they did. I don't know if they're doing as much now, but if there's a deal, yes. When you sell your house to Zillow and some of these other sites, on the back end, they flip the property to some of the hedge funds. Do you think Zillow doesn't do it as much now, but open door, offer pass, some of the ones they still do it. Do you think that they're keeping those houses and just putting them on the market or just fixing them? No, they can't manage all of that inventory. And if it's sitting so long, that's liquidity that's tied up in there, even though they got a massive amount of money. Dude, who do you think is going to buy it from them on the back end? It needs to be you, but it's these hedge funds.
You think that was an accident? And stop with the bullshit that the market's getting ready to go back. It's not going back, because before it was in our control. Now we got it's in big business, business control. The market's not going back. So if you missed knowing me during that time, I'm sorry. So again, you can thank the Obama administration for your high rent and your high housing prices, because once they bought it for $60,000 and the rent went from a 1-bedroom in Atlanta was around $800 and now it's $1,500, and some business owners in Australia and South Africa, you paying for their luxury. You can thank Obama for that. Okay, that was him.
That was him.
He was your color, but not your kind. Now, I voted for Barack Obama twice. Like I say, don't come at me with that shit.
Ooh. Go, girl. Go. Because we told you, when they tell you what the deal is, don't blow people up because their politics doesn't match what you think it should. Don't do that. Because you're missing the picture. Nobody. She's not attacking Obama. She's really, in essence, attacking the people that put him in office and did not know enough to understand what was taking place. And even after the fact, went back and reelected him. Even after the fact, will protect him and take care of him. And you won't be critical to the point that not just his administration, because I can't blame it all on him, but the CEOs, Fannie Mae, the banks, they allowed this to happen. They allowed it to happen freely.